The whole government is putting off the people so they don't find out how bad things really are. And that is so obvious.
Are you taking some of this in payment for some stuff for work?
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
Not too bad yourself?
Yeah, not bad. What's with the mess? You're usually so fastidious.
I'm trying to find a registered mail receipt.
Is there any silver underneath this pile?
There is. I'm going to clean it up. I didn't expect you to come in and start filming things because now people know what a mess my place is.
Oh, yeah, they have no idea. Yeah, this is such a...
It was, usually it's in such good order by the time you start filming.
I know. I caught you on with your guard down, right?
This is bad. Had a toilet backup in my house, and the water decided to go up the drain in the sink.
Oh, no.
And yeah, then a lot of it went through the ceiling to the dining room down below.
Sounds like a condition not unlike what the Federal Reserve seems to be going through.
It is, but they have all kinds of tricks, and they must have a staff of a lot of plumbers to clean up the mess.
Monetary plumbers.
Monetary plumbers. One senator asked a few questions to try to get Powell to say that everything that's going wrong in this country was Putin's fault. But she didn't leave much room for an answer. Okay?
Yeah.
So then it said, I think his name is Moran, Senator, he said, so you can get 43 of them.
Oh.
So just pick a few more.
Oh, we got somebody going through.
You got another bag?
I actually do.
That's what's yeah, you're doing silver. All right, here we go. Oh, that's heavy. You're having fun over there, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's what you're hearing in the background. All right.
Yes. Anyway, he was talking about inflation and high gas prices, and he said so. So this began about the time of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He said, no, it's been going on for 18 months, and so this is not Putin's fault. He said, no, it's not Putin's fault.
Of course not.
But he has to be careful what he says because he doesn't want to offend his employers. And that was obvious.
He's skating on thin ice. Quite frankly, he could be used as the massive scapegoat when this thing blows up.
If there's a funny video you got to see, it's Elizabeth Warren questioning him. I almost pulled over, so I was laughing so hard. She is a piece of work.
Inflation is like an illness, and the medicine needs to be tailored to the specific problem. Otherwise, you could make things a lot worse. And right now, the Fed has no control over the main drivers of rising prices, but the Fed can slow demand by getting a lot of people fired and making families poorer. And while President Biden is working to increase energy supplies and straighten out supply chain kinks and break up monopolies and bring down prices, you could actually tip this economy into recession. So I just want to say, you know what's worse than high inflation and low unemployment? It's high inflation and a recession with millions of people out of work. And I hope you'll reconsider that as you before you drive this economy off a cliff.
She basically told him you didn't have any clue what he was doing. The Fed has no tools at all. That they're destroying the country. I mean, she had a well-prepared speech, and it is just comical.
When you love silver as much as me, it's really easy to get carried away. Sometimes I just can't keep my hands off of a good deal. So when SD Bullion told me that they wanted to give away some silver for free, I was happy to lend my voice for the cause. Now how much silver are they giving away, you ask? Boom! Yes, 500 brand new Silver Eagle coins will be going to one of you. Just click the link below and enter for your chance to be the next big winner. Yep, okay, got it.
This is the way our government is running. You got one side, it's all this way, it's all climate change, Putin,
ESG.
they're at fault for everything, okay? And the other side is trying to be very practical and actually get answers out of the Fed, but they're so careful about what they say because they're only there at the pleasure of the president. And he could replace Powell with Janet Yellen, for example.
Oh, there's a great swap. She already had her shot.
She did. But
What a mea culpa she
if
put
you're
up, too.
trying to put a guy like Powell in his place, replace him with Janet Yellen. It's just, we have a totally non-functional government. I mean, the whole government is putting off the people so they don't find out how bad things really are. And that is so obvious. When Senator Moran, I guess it is, was talking to Powell, he made him answer the question truthfully. And that was very enlightening. And Elizabeth Warren basically exposed the fact that the Fed has no control over inflation or gas prices or anything else they're trying to accomplish. And interest rates are a problem. And he wouldn't admit that interest rates are a problem. It causes more problems than they need to contend with.
Okay, you got silver bars down here?
Yeah.
In that box?
That box. Just pick it up.
I don't know. I don't know if I can do. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this with one hand. That is heavy. Wow. All three of those?
Yeah, those are. And there was a fourth box. That's what we've been talking about.
We're going to be. Yeah, you're going to be.
His order was actually 1,800, so I had to take 200 out.
The buyer from Mississippi?
Yes.
Wow.
And he said he wanted all 2,000. So I haven't put him back in because I'm trying to find a way of fitting him in the flat rate box.
Yep.
And which would save him a little bit of money on the shipping.
Well, getting back to the Fed really quick, I think the political pressure is going to be enormous when they continue with this tightening program that they have embarked on.
Honestly, I think the Fed governors are providing most of the pressure. I think because they're all closer. Look at, he was referencing the governor in Kansas City, for example, and one of the senators who spoke up was from Kansas, and they have a special lineup of problems that agricultural being most important, and basically, they're talking about, hey, the way the farms work is they have to go borrow the money to keep the farming operation. Then after the crops are in is when they get paid. In the meantime, they're paying now higher interest rates to get the crops out, and it's affecting everything. And, look at the price of fuel. How do you operate a farm without fuel?
I know.
And it basically, he said, not my problem, but he didn't. But that was important. That's basically the answer.
The only thing that they can hold on to is employment, but that's a lagging indicator. If and when that plummets, you're going to see the real estate market collapse. You're going to see a lot of markets, and that's when the pressure is going to be on for them to reverse course. They can't keep.
That was what Elizabeth Warren was talking about. She said, we finally got some, wage growth, and raising interest rates it means that companies are going to be investing less money, and in which case they'll end up firing employees, and again, it's not my problem. But he was very careful to answer, and he didn't want to answer any of Elizabeth Warren's concerns. The only tool they have is raising interest rates. That's like creating another problem. That's all it is creating another problem. Plus, how do you raise interest rates when you've already said we're not having enough revenue to pay even the interest on our debt? And so
They're stuck.
So
It's
you
terrible.
don't have enough income to pay the interest on the debt. Then why are you raising interest rates?
Recessions. You've been through a lot of them.
I have, yeah, going back to the 50s.
Back to the 50s. How does gold and silver usually react and perform?
All the run-ups in the late 60s and early 70s were kind of artificial because they were feeling their way. I'm one of those people who think that letting gold float was the right thing to do, because the alternative was selling our gold back to the countries that wanted to buy it back for their paper currency.
Well, that's interesting.
And that's one of the reasons we have Krugerrands, is because the South Africans figured, well, we got a lot of gold, and this is about to become the new currency. So let's start making as many as we can. And they were right. Okay. Back in the 60s or 70s, if you wanted to buy gold, even in the 80s, within a 1980 run-up, if you wanted to buy gold, it was Krugerrands. That was about the only thing you could buy.
Right.
And but letting it float was really important, because it had no connection to any currency, and the gold was flying out of this country. All the countries of the world that had us make arms for them, or supply soldiers and everything else. Basically, we said, hey, we can't afford to do this for everybody. But they actually, the Russians bought billions and billions of World War II armaments from the United States. Mm-hmm. They claim they put all that in gold and silver in a ship that sank miraculously for them off the coast of Sable Island.
Right.
And then they say, well, it's in your territorial waters, go get it. But
how about later recessions?
You remember what happened in the early 80s. Jimmy Carter did a lot of funny things that I think he was just trying to be a good guy, but they were spending money like crazy. And I can give you one example. I had bought an early credit card. This is before Visa and MasterCard, and I went to get an engagement ring. And
was it a Diners Club?
There was Beneficial Finance.
Oh, okay, because Diners was first. Okay, well, interesting.
And they had a card, but it didn't work on anybody because there were no card machines. And this is back in 1980.
This is back, okay, I got you.
And so, I'd get a monthly statement and I'd make a payment. And it was just like a credit card statement. And I went to the mailbox one day and I opened up and there's a bill, and I said, gee, I think I paid more than that. I'm looking at it. I flipped it over to look at the interest rate was 36.99%. 36.99%. That's what Jimmy Carter did to the economy. Why? Because there were no regulations to stop it. Now, if I'd gone to North Boston and contacted a local mobster and said, I need money to buy a ring,
you might get a better deal.
It probably would have been about 20%.
Okay.
But
right.
the threat of breaking your legs.
I know, right? Again, back to my question. How does gold and silver usually perform? You've seen it. Again, the run-up to it. I think we're in the run-up to recession right now. So that's why I'm kind of trying to learn a little bit from your history here.
Well, in 1980, that's historic. I mean, gold went up to 49.70. Everybody says 50. They might as well call it 50. Mm-hmm. 800, excuse me. And silver went up to 49.70. Call it 50. And that was, what's that ratio? 16 to 1 or something like that?
Not 80 to 1.
That was established in the 1790s, okay?
Yes, right.
That's 16 to 1 ratio. But that's the only reason that ratio was in effect in 1980, okay? No other reason. It's just that somebody said, well, it says right here it should be 16 to 1, so
there you go.
Let's trade it up to 16 to 1. And I don't think that those levels, if you convert it to today's dollars, those levels have not been reached since. In 2011, silver went up to $49.50, didn't break the record, and gold went up to $19.25 in September. But, what was the recession that brought that on, 2011? it was a result of the 2007, the Dow went up to 14,000. That was the all-time high. 2008, it dropped down to, I guess it stopped dropping in March of 2009.
Global financial crisis.
6,550.
Right.
Which is a big drop, and it got cut by more than half.
Subprime.
And I suspect that 2011 was kind of the result of that, because they were, people were struggling to get back in the stock market, and there was cash being diverted to other sources, and gold seemed like a lot safer. Gold seemed like safer, and silver looked like it had a good future.
Good future. And the Fed, by the way, was telling everyone that the subprime crisis was contained and everything was going to be fine, and then it didn't. It spilled and turned into a massive recession. So
and some of those companies, I don't want to mention any in particular, never did pay that bill. Okay, GM claims they paid back the government, they paid back the taxpayers. But what about GMAC? Did they ever pay back the taxpayers? I'm not sure.
Anyway, so there was a run-up, confidence in gold and silver as a hedge, as a protection during this time.
But keep in mind there were lots of bailouts. Okay, so that may have short-circuited the whole thing. It was a different world in 2008, 2009, 2010, and in 2011, I think it was traders being traders. I think there was a run-up was kind of artificial. But keep in mind, it was also 2011, I believe, that J.P. Morgan shorted like 150 million ounces.
We're in a situation where we could be faced with what I believe will dwarf the Great Recession. This will be the Greater Recession. This could be a massive inflationary depression.
Yep.
So in that kind of scenario, gold and silver are not going to just sit on the sidelines. We're not going to be trading sideways. Something big is going to happen if that happens.
I agree with you, and I think the timing is right. What is different is that back in the 80s, and a good example of this is the 87 crash, the markets were not all connected, okay? Today, they are all connected, okay? What the Fed does, what hedge funds do, what the big investment houses do,
what the
they're all the same people, the same club, the government, the U.S. Treasury. It's all the same, and it never was before. I mean, there were no hedge funds back in 1987. It was the individual, there were, but they were not a factor. The individual investor was still the primary investor in the stock market, and it was in the 87 crash. It was individual investors getting spooked and selling out just because everybody else was selling out. And most of the people who sold out, if they had good stocks in the first place, were able to buy them back at a lower price.
Here's a prediction for you, Tim, and for everybody else watching. I think by the end of this year, they will be faced with a massive recessionary pressure to reverse course, to go back to quantitative easing unlike we've ever seen before, back to dropping interest rates.
I don't think they ever left quantitative easing.
Oh,
and I
good
think
point.
One of the reasons is that Bernanke snookered Congress. And remember he said, they're going to start tapering. Okay, that turned out to be a lie, because they never did stop tapering. They never started tapering. I think that they're trying to find another name for it. Let me put it that way.
Oh, yeah. They'll call it something different.
Look at the numbers they're talking about every budget cycle. The numbers are astronomical. And we're no longer in a position to even pay down our short-term debt. And this president says, well, I've reduced the deficit. No, you asked for $3 trillion and you settled for $2 trillion. That's not paying the deficit.
I know, that's political math, right?
He doesn't even know, because he's reading that off a teleprompter. So in his mind, we've reduced the deficit every year I've been in debt, blah, blah, blah.
That's another good point you brought up. A difference in decades ago when we went through recessions too. We were holders of longer term debt. Now it's all short term.
Oh yeah,
it's short term.
Neither of which are payable.
No, exactly.
I think the major fact about the whole thing is all one club. And the only thing that is true that is unfortunate is the taxpayer is holding the bag. And
We're going to get a
if
haircut.
if we get a Democratic administration for too much longer, then we're going to get people like Elizabeth Warren who say there's always money,
Right.
because that's the way they think. There's always money. Where does it come from? It comes from taxpayers. Okay, well, instead of lowering that gas tax, to save you people a few pennies, we're going to raise it. Because when this is all over, we've got this deficit because of the lack of gas tax, so we're going to raise it up. There's no resistance to what they're doing. And
The pain is so high now, the threshold now to do the right thing is so bad, so harsh. Nobody's going to have the guts. Trump didn't have the guts, sorry. No politician is going to have the guts to do what needs to be done to get on a fiscally tight, monetarily correct footing. None.
Trump was bribed, and he thought he couldn't be bribed. And the bribery back then was, okay, we'll appropriate the money to build the wall, but you got to take the rest of our budget. And so he fell for it. I still think Trump, knowing how the economy works, understanding business, is a better alternative to the socialists who are in power.
I think we have some other alternatives coming down the pike. I hope we get a good alternative.
Look at the climate freaks. If they only understood that every electric car has a much greater carbon footprint than any gas car. Every electric car, let me say it again, has a greater carbon footprint than any gasoline-powered car. Now, nobody wants to believe that.
Yep.
And I know these people are going around talking to businesses, climate action now. I think they're trying to raise money for some organization, but I don't have time to talk to them because they won't listen to reason. And it's still true that natural causes of greenhouse gases dwarf all the forms of transportation in the world combined. Now, they don't want to believe that, but there are still volcanoes, there's still swamps and peat bogs and
cows that fart.
Cows that fart. But you put them all together, they dwarf all the forms of transportation in the world combined. And, if you want to run things on electricity, put those electrical wires over the trains again, like they used to be. Just stop running diesel engines. I mean, I grew up in a town where the trains went into New York City, and there were high tension wires, and when the trains, we used to watch the sparks when the trains went by. It was fascinating. But, you want things electric, make the trains electric again, develop some magic carpets if you want to, but don't tell me that my spending $65,000 to $100,000 on an electric car is going to solve climate problems, because it's not.
I agree. Plus, a lot of the electric cars need silver. So I want to talk more about silver now too. So bottom line, silver, gold, you think great future in a recessionary environment, right?
I do. I'm a little surprised that the COMEX is still able to control silver. I think they're going to be forced to give it up.
Yep.
And what they will ultimately do, if they have regulations that determine how much they have to have in reserve in physical silver, they'll just change the regulations.
They do. They can, yeah.
I mean, if you hold all the cards, you can make the rules.
Right.
We learned that when we were playing Go Fish as kids.
There you go. What do you got for me? Silver, gold.
I have
It's the time to be buying it.
1 ounce, 10 ounce, and kilo bars. I do have 1 ounce buffaloes. I brought those in yesterday, and I think we've gone through 300 already.
In one day.
Yeah.
They're hot.
Yeah, it's and I think I have maybe 120 left, something like that.
Interesting.
But other than the buffaloes and the bars, let's see, I do have junk silver.
I got plenty of it over here.
What was that?
He says we have plenty of it over there.
Plenty of it. Yes, I know. Wow. $50. Quarters dwindling?
No, I bought another bag of quarters.
Okay.
I bought another bag of dimes.
I do have a half a tube of silver rounds, buffalo rounds. I might need to top that off with another 10. So this silver you got right
That's
here,
$540.
is this, are you taking some of this in payment for some stuff for work?
Yeah.
Cool. That is awesome. I love that.
Kilo the last time.
Good for you. Wow. Man, you know, a lot of people are doing that more and more and more. I get emails all the time, people telling me, Yankee, hey, I'm doing deals with barter. Taking it in silver, taking it in gold. You think that's a great idea?
Yeah.
Good for
I've
you.
been doing it for 10 years.
10 years?
Yes, I got a pretty good little stash.
I want to be paid in silver.
Paid for what?
Hey!
Go talk to Google. All right.
Yeah, these are neat. There you go.
All right.
Oh, don't forget to wash your hands, man.
All right. Money's dirty.
Right, money's dirty.
It is the dirtiest thing ever.
Real money is dirty, right?
Well, I think digital money is dirtier because that means more of it's going to the government. When are you going to need another giveaway?
You just showed me this great thank you for the conversation the other evening. He closes the check. 10 gold maples, nice. And he put a check for $40 in hopes that will buy a silver eagle, which you could give Yankee to give away on a live stream. Incarnate 01. It's a great guy, man. That was really nice of him. I'll hold on to the eagle until you're on with me and we'll give it away.
Sounds good.
Cool.
You know, when Biden was campaigning here in New Hampshire, he a girl who was, I think, from UNH asked a question to him, and his answer was, "Well, you're a lying dog-faced pony soldier." Did you ever hear about that?
Yep. Oh, very nice.
That's a giveaway.
So one of these.
Yeah, this is the giveaway. Wasn't that nice of him?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yankee asked me. He said,
Greatest community on YouTube, man. Very generous,
so he said,
wonderful.
"So, Tim, are you going to get into bed before 3 in the morning today?" And I said, "If I told you I was, I'd be a lying dog-faced pony soldier." So look at the shirt he got me.
I don't taste myself.
Isn't that great?
With a gun.
That's awesome.
Thanks a lot, Tim. Appreciate it. Let's settle up on these 10 and I'll be on my way. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Wait a minute. You just gave me a 10 tube.
That's right.
But that means that the other tube is still half empty.
That's right. And you'll have to come fill this one up then.
But this one's full. I mean, you're stringing me along.
Yeah.